Would I be the a-hole for ghosting my ex-wife? I, 32 male, met Sarah, 30 female, in grade school in our small town. She was my first everything: girlfriend, love, and eventually wife. We both went to college together, and after I graduated, we got married when I was 23 and she was 21. Sarah was still finishing her degree, and I worked hard to support both of us while she completed her studies. When she got her first job, I was so proud of her. It felt like our sacrifices and hard work were paying off, and I thought we were on our way to building a life together. For 2 years, everything seemed fine, or at least I thought so. Then one day, I came home from work and found her packing a bag. She sat me down and told me she had been having an affair with a coworker. I was completely oblivious. She was crying and apologetic. She said she loved me, but she was in love with a coworker and they had this chemistry and a deep connection, and that she never felt this level of excitement and attachment with me. At the same time, she seemed to be really apologetic and acted very guilty. She moved in with a coworker that night. Sarah made a divorce as quick and easy as possible. She didn't contest anything and took almost nothing. In the state we live in, you can get a divorce in 10 days if there aren't any children involved. We filed the papers ourselves. No lawyer. Couldn't afford one. After it was final, she asked if we could be friends. And I'm ashamed to say that I just broke down and sobbed like a baby in front of her, said nothing and left. At that point, she was 23 and I was 25. A couple of years later, in early 2020, while riding out COVID in my hometown, my mom casually mentioned that Sarah had married a guy she left me for. Apparently, Sarah's parents and mine had talked about it since they're longtime friends, and Sarah's parents were hesitant about the marriage, but supported her. Hearing that stung. I had done everything I could to move on, but knowing she had married her affair partner felt like reopening the wound. I told my mom, as kindly as I could, that I didn't want to hear about Sarah anymore. She understood and never brought her up again. I was broken and depressed at first, but I went to see a therapist and got on some meds. I got some certifications, and through a friend from college, I got an interview with a global consulting company. My friend was married and couldn't do the amount of travel that the job required, so he pushed hard for me for the position. I started traveling around the world and pretty much worked all the time at first. On any given day, I was either in the gym, working, or having a virtual therapy session at 3 a.m. I was a dull boy. I got into incredible shape thanks to lifting and running. Eventually, I got a long-term project in Romania and was able to meet and have relationships with women. Fast forward a few years. Recently, I had a few weeks of vacation saved up, and I wanted to spend Christmas in Reykjavik, Iceland. I went to my parents' place in my hometown for Thanksgiving with my sister and brother. Last Thursday, I was at the local independent drugstore in what passes for downtown in my hometown. It has a lunch counter like an old-fashioned drugstore. I got a cup of coffee and sat down at the counter drinking it when Sarah sat down beside me and said hello. She was super nervous and red in the face. I was shocked and just sat there looking at her. I was exploding inside, but I kept my cool outwardly. She was still beautiful. She was actually very fit herself and had lost her baby face and became maybe even more beautiful. She started off by apologizing for the way she ended our marriage. I told her she already apologized like 100 times when she dumped me, but she insisted that she was young and stupid, and over time, she realized how much she had hurt me. She wanted to meet me later in a less crowded spot with fewer spies. Small town, remember? I shook my head no, and told her frankly that I didn't see what I could possibly get out of meeting with her again. That kind of took the wind out of her sails, and she kind of deflated. She admitted that it was probably more for her than for me. She said that I'd get closure not only for how she ended things, but for the kind of person she was back then. She wanted to tell me about how she's changed and what she'd learned about herself and what real love is. She wanted me to see that the person she became is someone that I could respect and maybe be friends with again. I wanted to get the heck out of there, so I just told her I'd think about it. She gave me her number and I went home. Apparently, my mom and sister had already heard about it from Sarah's mom. So I'm a big dumb victim of some kind of big dumb Hallmark Christmas movie hit job. My sister, 29 female, and mom, 55 female, told me that they kept up with Sarah since our divorce, and they know that she's changed and that I should hear her out. My dad, 56 male, just shook his head and walked off. My brother, 22 male, thought all of this was hilarious. I asked if he wanted to chime in, and he just shrugged his shoulders and said that since Sarah and I knew each other from when we were kids, I should at least hear her out, just to keep the peace between our families since we live in a small town. Personally, I do think that her family would feel insulted if I didn't at least talk with her. I know for a fact that she's living with her parents now, so it seems like her life completely crapped the bed. I'd kind of like to get the gory details as maybe a form of schadenfreude, but it's all behind me now, and I think it would all just make me sad. I guess I am a better man now that I'm more mature, more wealthy, and fitter than I was when I was with her. But I'm still the same guy that she didn't have chemistry or connection with back in the day. So I think whatever comes out of her mouth would be BS. I think she's probably a dragon cosplaying as a princess and wants me to be her white knight. F that. My mom and sister are pushing hard for me to meet her, and my mom says that she's afraid if I don't at least hear Sarah out, that Sarah's mom will resent her and make her social life more complicated. Let me make it clear that I have no intention of getting back with Sarah. Sarah's very beautiful, but so are the women of Romania, Iceland, and elsewhere, and they have the added bonus of not breaking my heart. I'm interested in going just to hear about what happened to her after she dumped me and to smooth things over for my folks. What do you think, Reddit? Should I go? I kind of want to. Talk me down off the ledge. Would I be the a-hole if I ghosted my ex-wife? Now for the top comments. Sounds like you don't need a closure, so why pick at healed wounds? Tell your mom and sister if they want to hear Sarah talk so much, they can go in your place, but to leave you out of it. Yeah, that's what I don't get. In these small towns, they could easily find out the intentions. Especially if they're like the one I grew up in, with all the families being all entangled in the social events and everyone knows everyone's business. Which means mom and sis already know, and they want the two of them to get back together. It's all cutesy. Bro needs to get on a plane fast. Anyone else find it suspicious that cheating ex just happened on him at a lunch counter? Mom set him up. Don't go. You don't have to ghost her. You can tell her you aren't interested in rehashing the past and you wish her well. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share my bonus with my fiancé's family? I, 30 male, work in tech and had a fantastic year at my job. I recently received a significant year-end bonus, $50,000, and I was thrilled. I've been saving for years to buy a house, and this bonus is going directly into my house fund. My fiancé, 28 female, knows this and was initially very supportive. Then she dropped a bomb on me. She asked if I could spare $25,000 of my bonus to help her parents pay off their mortgage. Apparently, her parents have been struggling financially, and she feels it's only fair, since we're going to be married and they're going to be my family too. I said no. I've worked extremely hard for this money, and while I feel for her parents, I don't think it's my responsibility to bail them out, especially when I've never even been asked directly by them. Her response? She called me selfish and accused me of not caring about her family. She then brought up how her parents have sacrificed so much for her and it's the least I could do. She's been cold to me ever since. She's also told her parents about my bonus without my permission, and now I'm getting guilt-tripped by them. They haven't outright asked for money, but they've made several comments about how lucky I am to have extra cash and how some people don't get that kind of opportunity. When I mentioned that I plan to use the money to help secure our future with a house, my fiancé said, "What future? You're already showing you don't care about the people who matter to me." I don't think I should have to justify how I use my bonus, but now even my own friends are split in whether I'm being reasonable or stingy. Am I the a-hole? Run. Far and fast. Red flags. He's lucky she showed him her cards before marrying her. Bro, cut and run. Not the a-hole. Get the ring back too. Leave. Just leave. Your fiancé has revealed who she is before the wedding. Asking you to subsidize her parents is so inappropriate. If this becomes an issue, your fiancée and her parents will remember and forever mar your marriage. I'd kick myself from marrying her. Your fiancée has made it clear where you stand in relation to her parents. She overshared about your salary. That her parents have the audacity to make snide comments hoping to steer you towards donating to them is insulting and inappropriate. When I mentioned that I plan to use the money to help secure our future with a house, my fiancé said, "What future? You're already showing you don't care about the people who matter to me. Stick a fork in it. This relationship is toast." I say confirm what your fiancé is proclaiming and surprisingly agree with her. Then she can give all the money her parents need. Not the a-hole and keep an eye on your wallet. And don't get her pregnant. Why isn't she helping her parents if they are so important to her? Are you the one always paying for everything? Are you supporting her? Think about it long and hard. And I'm sure you'll see this isn't the first time situations like this have occurred. She is trying to help them to OP's money. Next story. Am I the a-hole for struggling to help my daughter cope with her father's work accident? I, 27 female, have a 6-year-old daughter with my ex-boyfriend. Although we're no longer together, he has always been a loving and devoted father. They share a very close bond, and she adores him. Her father was in a terrible work accident that left him in a coma. The doctors can't say when or if he'll wake up, and the uncertainty has been unbearable. I've been trying to stay strong for my daughter, but it's been incredibly hard. She doesn't fully understand what happened and has been struggling ever since. At school, she's been acting out, refusing to listen to her teacher and getting into arguments with her classmates. At home, she's throwing tantrums over the smallest things, yelling, and even saying things like she hates me or that I'm lying about her dad. It's been heartbreaking. I've taken her to visit her father a few times, hoping it would help her feel more connected and understand what's happening. Each time, she starts crying and clings to his hand, begging him to wake up. Watching her so heartbroken is gut-wrenching, and I often feel completely helpless. I've tried everything I can think of to help her. Extra patience, spending more quality time together, and reassuring her that she's loved. But it doesn't seem to be enough. After a particularly tough week, I decided to put her in therapy, hoping a professional could help her process her emotions. She's had 2 sessions so far, and while I know it takes time, her behavior hasn't improved yet. And I feel like I'm failing her. Some family members think I'm overreacting. They've told me that kids are resilient and that she'll get over it in time, suggesting that I'm making her more anxious by talking about her father's accident too much. Others have been more supportive, but their mixed opinions have left me second-guessing myself. I'm trying so hard to do what's best for my daughter, but I'm terrified that I'm not handling this the right way. Am I overreacting by putting her in therapy, or am I not doing enough to help her cope? Am I the a-hole for struggling to figure out how to help my daughter through this? Not the a-hole. My father was in a coma for a year after a drunk driver crashed into him. It was and is awful. 35 years later, I am still grieving. You are doing the right thing. You both need therapy. A professional can help you process your feelings. Hers and your therapist together can help you decide the best course of action for you and your daughter during this awful time. I'm so sorry you are all having to deal with this. You are absolutely not overreacting by putting her in therapy. This is a big deal for anyone, let alone a small child. You need professional help to assist her in navigating her feelings. You're doing the right things, and anyone who says otherwise is a knob. The fact that you care, are worried, and are taking steps to help your daughter is what makes you a good mom. Frankly, I'd be concerned if she wasn't bothered by her dad's medical state. Anyone can have an opinion, but no one knows your daughter the way you do. In this arena, their opinions are moot, not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom about my stepfather's affair after catching him with another woman? I'm really struggling with whether I did the right thing or not, and now my family feels like it's falling apart. This happened a few nights ago, and I can't stop thinking about it. So I, 32 female, was invited out to dinner by a co-worker. She's new at my job, and we've been getting along pretty well. So when she asked me to come celebrate her birthday, I figured why not? We went to this nice restaurant One of those fancy places I usually wouldn't go to unless it's for something special. While we're eating, I spot someone across the room who looks really familiar. It took me a second, but I realized it was my stepdad, 50 male. That alone threw me off, because he was supposed to be out of town for a business meeting that night. My mom, 58 female, even mentioned earlier in the day that he had a big work thing and wouldn't be home until the weekend. At first, I thought maybe his trip got canceled and he was having dinner with a colleague or something. But then I noticed the woman he was with. She was way younger than him and dressed really, let's just say, not professional. They were sitting close together, laughing and being super touchy. My stomach was already in knots, but then he leaned in and kissed her. Not a friendly kiss, a full-on romantic kiss. I felt like the room was spinning. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I didn't know what to do, so I pulled out my phone and started recording. I wasn't even thinking clearly, but I knew my mom would never believe me if I just told her. My stepdad has always been the perfect husband in her eyes, and she trusts him completely. After they finished their meal, they left together. I didn't follow them. I couldn't handle seeing anymore. I just sat there for the rest of the night trying not to cry and barely touched my food. When I got home, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying what I saw in my head and trying to figure out what to do. A little background, my mom and stepdad have been married for 15 years. He's been in my life since I was a teenager and has always been a father figure to me and my younger brother, 27 male. But over the years, I've heard rumors about him cheating. My mom always brushed them off, saying people just like to gossip because they were jealous of their relationship. I debated all night about whether to tell her. Part of me wanted to pretend I didn't see anything, but I knew I couldn't live with myself if I kept quiet. So, I showed her the video. She didn't cry right away. She just stared at the screen, like she was trying to process what she was seeing. Then she thanked me for telling her, and we just sat in silence for what felt like forever. The next day, she confronted my stepdad. He tried to deny it at first, saying I must have misunderstood or taken things out of context. But when she mentioned the video, he couldn't come up with any more excuses. He packed a bag and left the house. Now my mom is devastated. She hasn't eaten much, barely sleeps, and I feel awful for being the one to shatter her world like this. To make things worse, my brother is furious with me. He says I should have minded my own business and let them work things out on their own. He thinks I made everything worse by showing her the video instead of confronting my stepdad first. Even some of my friends think I overstepped by recording him and exposing him like that. I thought I was doing the right thing by being honest with my mom, but now I'm second-guessing everything. Was I wrong to get involved? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I'm sorry, little bro. Should you have let this man just keep on cheating on your mom? Heck no. She needed to know what kind of a-hole she was married to. She absolutely needed to know even if my brother says otherwise. I don't know. Not the a-hole. He was cheating. He got caught. The best thing you can do right now is support your mom in this difficult time for her. You didn't ruin the relationship. Your stepdad did. Your brother is an a-hole for telling you that you should have kept quiet. I will always support my mom. She is anyways better off without him. He is an a-hole.